This year, experience the NHL playoffs your way. Want to watch a single? Do or Die Game 7, a full week of heavy-hitting back-and-forth series. Then check out Sling's 1, 3, and 7-day passes. Watch the Chase for the Cup on ESPN and TNT, starting as low as $4.99. No long-term contracts or overpaying. Just live hockey at home or when you want it. Sling lets you do that. Visit sling.com to learn more.
It's time for the Larry H. Miller Utah Summer Games at Southern Utah University in Cedar City. Register today to participate in the 40th anniversary season of a Utah sports tradition at utahsummergames.org. Participate in over 50 sports around the state. Then plan to join the opening ceremonies Friday, June 5th, presented by State Bank of Southern Utah. Register today to participate in the 40th anniversary season of the Larry H. Miller Utah Summer Games.
Over 2 decades of sports radio dominance in Utah.
My favorite.
This is DJ and PK on 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone.
Okay, man, I am about to take a journey into the danger zone right now, bringing on my old buddy Gordon Monson, Salt Lake Tribune. Gordon, you realize it's been almost 20 years since I wrote lousy stories for the Tribune?
Yes, lousy but memorable.
Wow, I'm going to put that on my tombstone.
Oh, man, yeah, time is a funny thing, isn't it?
Absolutely, lousy but memorable. That sums up me, man.
Well, when we were coming in from the break, I heard a little voice man say over 20 years of dominance, DJ and PK, and I had to think, oh, man, whose great idea was that? I don't know. I can't remember. Oh, yeah, maybe I do remember.
Well,
yeah,
I think you played as much of a part as anybody. Certainly in continuing it after the 5th year, that's for sure.
Yeah. Well, yeah. It's, memorable. I'll just leave memorable. I'll take the lousy off.
We had a few weeks back, probably about 2 months or so now, we had to go out on a call, Peach Windows and Doors. They have a great product, right? And so we're there. We're with the sales lady from Bonneville here at KSL. And the guy, it's a couple that owns it. And the guy, he's a sports fan, he likes golf, so we're talking about it. He says, because they were making a switch from another show coming on our show and do reads and all that stuff. And he says, I talked to a lot of people about having you be a part of this, and they all told me the same thing. I said, yeah, what was that? He said, well, they all told me you're obnoxious, but you tell the truth.
And how do you feel about that? Do you have the scars to prove it?
I thought, well, I think the obnoxious thing is overrated. But I mean, I try to tell the truth as I see it. I don't know if it's the exact truth, but it's...
Wait. Let me get this straight. In your opinion, your obnoxious factor is overrated. Okay.
Yes. I do think I do for this market, maybe, but I mean, put me in back east, and am I really that obnoxious? I kind of just fit in along the way everybody else is. Everybody else is sarcastic and a smart A, just like I am. You knew that. That's where you grew up, too. You grew up down the coast a little bit, but not too far, ironically, from where I grew up, which leads me to where I'm going. So many people in this community are finding out firsthand the excitement of playoff hockey, playoff overtime hockey. But for you, this is old hat because you go way back in the Philly area to the Broad Street Bullies when you were following the Flyers, right?
Yeah, that's right. And the funny thing about that is that Philadelphia at that time that I became a hockey fan was their teams sucked, and suddenly the Flyers are emerging, and the community really rallied around that. PK, I don't know if you remember that or whether you were sucked into that whole Rangers Islanders thing, but the Flyers became a hot young team, and the community really rallied around that, and it became a big deal. And it became a big deal because, I mean, kids started playing hockey. I played street hockey, floor hockey, ice hockey. I did the whole thing, and it was really fun. It had this effect on the community as a whole. And I kind of get a similar vibe with what's going on with the Mammoth. That this community, I don't know. Do you get any sense whether it's really caught on or not? I was in the building, the Delta Center, last night, and the place is energized big time. But do you think your listeners as a whole have caught that fever yet, or not?
I think they're about to come down with it now. What I mean by that is I don't care what sport, what town, what community. Everybody loves a winner, right? And there's very few places that where a particular sport, no matter what the sport is, where they're winning at a high level, that the stadium isn't packed and that writers are writing about it, talk show hosts are talking about it, TV's splashing it, the community, the neighbors, and, the proverbial over the mailbox thing. Where the community's not excited about it, I think across the board that tends to happen. Here, it's a long, passionate fan base that follow the Jazz, and Jazz, we think they'll be on the road to winning starting next season. But right now, it's sort of a wait and see. I do think you have the hardcore hockey people who were going to be in it because they're into the sport. Like you were when you were a kid. And I can remember my sister is living at that point across just down the street, basically, into the New Jersey side. They call it South Jersey. And that is basically a suburb of Philadelphia. And she's several years older than me. She'd already been through college, and she's teaching in the South Jersey area. And she would tell me about the Flyers and how the community is going berserk. And that's all they're talking about in the schools, among the administrators, the teachers, the students. I think she was teaching junior high at the time. And you're right that everybody was behind them, and they'd had a history here. We don't have the history, but I think as far as being able to sell the sport to the community, I don't know that it could go better than the way it's going right now, particularly using Game 4 as the linchpin to this is what playoff hockey is about. If you didn't get excited about that game, then you simply don't like the sport, and the sport turns you off for whatever reason. But even the casual, and you were in the building, you can speak to this, has to think, wow, this from a competitive standpoint, this sport is incredible.
I really agree with that. Playoff hockey, maybe, and maybe you could do a show on this, but playoff hockey might be the best postseason sport that I've ever seen. I mean, yeah, you can argue about the NCAA basketball tournament and all that, but man, these games are usually tight. They're exciting. They're tough to for if you're a fan, man, you're on the edge of your seat the whole time. And that happened last night. I mean, when they fall behind 3-0 and then they claw back and take the lead, I mean, I was thinking that as I was sort of absorbing the whole thing. People were really into it. And they love that back and forth, although the home team and the fans obviously want to win and win big. But, man, that game last night was if you have any kind of pulse at all, you were probably pretty switched on by it. And, yeah, in the building, that's the way it is. I just wonder about the community as a whole, whether people have really glommed onto it yet.
I think they will.
If you haven't, and again, the Flyers were the same way because they started out at a certain level and then they sort of scratched and clawed their way toward the top. And, they didn't win the Stanley Cup right out of the gate.
Right.
It took them a few years. But once they were there, man, those were good times.
Right, and then it becomes entrenched, and then you got a fan base that you can build off of, and it just grows from there. That's what I'm saying. We're not there yet, but I think there's a strong possibility to get there. And you look at that game, and then there's very few sports where, okay, you're thinking, oh my gosh, Vegas has asserted itself. Now they're going to win this game, and they're probably going to win 3 in a row. We do that as sports fans. Sports fans, people accuse me of being negative, and I'm not a half-empty guy. I'm a 2/3 empty guy. I'll fully admit that. If something can go wrong, I'll find it. But I think.
But you're not obnoxious, man. Let's get that straight. Hey, I think you ought to have people vote on what should be on PK's tombstone. Although that is a little macabre, I get it.
What did you decide that I was? Lousy but memorable. Yeah. Hopefully I can remember that.
People, maybe you could have obnoxious on there too and have that scratched out
for a while. And so you're thinking sports fans tend to think negatively, right? Because you're so emotionally invested. It's like, oh my gosh, our team, we're not going to get it done. And when it's 3-0, you're thinking they're going to smoke the Mammoth. And name me a sport where everything can change in literally under 1 minute. 1 minute, right? They score 3-1. Okay. Well, when it's 3-2, a half a minute later, then it's on. It changed so dramatically to where you're thinking, we're going to get smoked. Oh, 3-1. Hey, maybe there's enough time left. Well, boom. Less than a freaking minute later, it's 3-2, and you're thinking, we got ourselves a game, right? I mean, I'm sure that's what people were thinking inside the arena.
Yeah, they were, and those fans were right there. I mean, people were disappointed, but once you get that one goal, it's just like this mighty momentum going forward. And the coolest thing, one of the cool things for Mammoth fans here and for Utah sports fans is that this is a young team.
Right.
And they've got young stars on this team that could be around for a long time. And people can latch on to that. When the Jazz first came here, PK, they sucked.
Yeah.
I mean, let's say it the way it is. They were not a good team. And then all of a sudden, or not all of a sudden, but you draft a couple of guys who seemed to make a difference.
Yeah.
And next thing you know, people were driving down the streets with flags hanging out their windows like the Jazz were some kind of breakaway republic or so. I mean, people really got into it, naming their kids after Jazz players and whatnot. I don't know if that will happen with hockey, but certainly it's capable of bringing a community together and unifying it in a rooting interest. And, in this day and age, who needs that? Well, everybody.
Yeah, when you think about it, what the Jazz did there, I mean, they had 3 great drafts. They draft Thurl, then they draft the statues, and then they're gone. They're off and running. The days of losing are behind them, right? We saw with Oklahoma City Thunder. They make the big trade, but then they draft well. And hopefully for the Jazz's sake, they can get it would be awesome if they got the number 1 pick. And they be back to their winning ways next year. It's just a lot more fun in the community when the team wins. I mean, I may not care personally, but job-wise, I want to see these teams win. As far as going
it's
into
the best, PK, really, it's the best thing pro sports can do for a community is bring it together like that. And I agree with you. I think the Jazz are on the edge of doing some really good things. And, we all know that the fans have been suffering for the past 4 years or so. It's about time.
Yeah.
And we'll see what happens. The Jazz fans have stayed fairly connected, sort of,
right.
Waiting. And, man, I'll tell you, if they get one of these star players in this draft and they pick the right one, and Lady Luck is on their side a little bit, man, I'll tell you, I think they are in position to do some really, really positive things. Not 5 years from now, starting next year.
Oh, I agree.
And it might be a ladder to climb from there, but man, they will be in the hunt.
Yeah, and you got to get in the hunt to get to the top of it. I mean, you don't go from not being in it to getting to. You got to take those steps, and they're set up to take that. I think a significant improvement next year.
Let me ask you this: if let's say the Jazz luck out and get the number 1 pick, who do you take?
Oh, I go DeBonce all the way. I'm biased. I saw him play many times in person. I covered BYU basketball more than I have since I was left the beat in 2007. I was at their first game in Vegas against Villanova, and I was at their last game against Texas in Portland, and went to several games in between, and obviously watch him on the television constantly. And the kid's not a perfect player. I'm not saying he's going to have the impact of LeBron, but few do. But I think he's got the work ethic to do the things that he needs to do. I mean, in three-point shooting, that's a little bit of a weakness. But man, the pressure that it was on him, the constant double teams, and against Texas, they would pick him up 2 feet past half court, with double teams, right? And he still manages to score. I mean, his athletic ability is off the charts, and he seems like he's a kid who really wants to work hard, which is what you need to do, right? And it looks like that's something that he's going to do. To me, I like Boozer's game. It's more below the rim, but you're looking for upside, right? I think Boozer can come in and play right away. He's got an NBA body. He can help you. But I think 3, 4, 5 years down the road, have him grow with an Ace Bailey. Yeah, that would be something. Another guy who's long and extremely agile, like they're accumulating. And you don't want to go crazy, but it seems like that would be best case scenario on the defensive end. And you hear Will Hardy talk about the defensive end and have him dig in as a rookie and just say, all right, son, I just need you to focus on defense here this year. And if he does that and come in spurts, he can be whatever Cody Williams has the opportunity to be defensively, which I think is pretty good. And we see it with a lot of deflections that he gets. I think DeBonza could be even better than that. So, plus, we're in the stories, Gordon. We've been in the stories for 40 years apiece, and that's the best story locally, and I want to see the best story locally.
He'll be far be it from us to make predictions, PK, but DeBonta, I think, will be a better pro than he was a college player. And one of the things that will make him better is when he does get double teamed, he will find a shooter who can actually make a shot.
Yeah.
And that was really working to his disadvantage at BYU. Yeah, God bless them, but they just didn't have enough shooters.
No.
And some people say, well, a lot of ISO ball, you're going. Well, he didn't have much of a choice,
No, he did not.
He had to do that. He'll be a better. I don't know what he averaged this last year, 25 points a game.
25.
I think that at some point in his career, I don't know when, he'll average more than that in the NBA.
More than that. Nice. I like that prediction. I told you I was getting in the danger zone with Gordon Monson. That's at some point in his career, and you're not pushing early. You're willing to give it time, and he's 19 years old, so he's got time. He will average more than 25 points a game. That is something that I will be watching as my teeth begin to fall out here over the next several years.
Not only will he average more than 25, he'll do so easily.
Easily? Oh, he upped the game. He upped the ante. Oh, man.
And on top of that, if the Jazz end up with him, they'll be in real contention for an NBA title. Not right away, but eventually they'll be there.
What's your line on eventually? 2 to 3 to 4 or 5 years?
Yeah, I'd say within 2 to 3 years.
Oh, well, that means I better be signing a new contract. I don't want to miss out on that.
I don't know, PK. You and I could be floating on a raft somewhere, observing it all from a distance.
Well, if so be it. But the key being observing. And if the Jazz are in the finals in 2032, whether I'm drooling on myself or what, or whether I'm still sitting here, I'm going to be watching. Because my life whenever I stop this, probably not going to change a whole lot. My wife said, "Oh, what are you going to do?" I'm going to do the same thing I always do. Sit around and moan during the day and watch sports at night.
I don't know, PK. I don't think you'll be drooling. I think you'll be lowering that handicap. That's what you'll be doing.
All right, I'll do that. I mean, I'll be moaning about the putt that I missed. And then I told her, I said, I already got my hobbies. They start at 5 o'clock Mountain Time when I go downstairs and I reemerge around 10 o'clock. I'm about as one-dimensional as they come. I don't read books. I don't go to the theater. I rarely go to movies, although we did go the other day to see the Michael Jackson movie. I told her, I said, "You underestimate me. When the time comes, I'm going to really get into my woodworking." And she just said, right.
When was the last time you whittled anything?
Well, I consider when I cut my toenails whittling them, but that's another story.
I know the older you get, the harder that is.
Yeah, exactly, man. You got to be limber. You got to be able to reach over all the way over. I can't get there anymore.
All your younger audience need to appreciate what you can do when you're young.
Yeah.
Because when you get older, man, just bending over to get that toenail, that's a whole new
Right, putting
adventure.
a tee in the ground, if I get to stand up without being dizzy, I consider it success. And then
Well, okay, I'll tell this little story. It shows you how bad it is for me. PK and I are playing golf, and he sees the way I struggle. And, of course, my ball always ends up in the hole, of course, eventually. But he saw me, struggling to get down there to get the ball out of the hole. And so what does he do? He gives me one of those ball retriever things that you stick on the end of your putter so you don't have to reach down there and get it with your hand. You just stick the thing on there and the ball sticks to your
right, you just stab at it like a Chi-Chi Rodriguez.
So I don't have to bend over, get all the way back up.
You want to save the energy. This is a smart move. You're allocating your resources more effectively.
Well, I appreciate the kind gift. That was my enjoyability of the game a little bit.
So you got the prediction on DeBonsa, and that'll be fun. I don't think that's outrageous. It's a 3-game series now with Vegas. What's your prediction? What do you expect?
Man, I don't know. I've been watching every game in this series. The thing I love about what the Mammoth do is, man, they have those rushes down the ice,
right? And
they have those highly skilled goal scorers,
right?
But one thing that Vegas does is they control the puck.
Yep, exactly.
And it seems like there are times when that's really to your advantage.
Yeah.
So I don't know how this is going to go for the Mammoth. And again, last night, if the Mammoths win that game last night, then I think they win the series. Yeah. But that's overtime, and that's the beauty of sports right there, is just being able to wonder what might have been last night. But I mean, I wouldn't bet on this at this series. The Mammoth that will have their chances. We'll see how they do down in Vegas.
I think that's about the best you can come up with, but you're just trying to say that they're going to win or going to lose. We just don't know, which is why we want to watch it. But they have an opportunity because of their skill level and their speed to win 2 more games in this series. Will they? If I had to bet, I'd probably bet no. But that's the fun part, is to see what happens. And I mean, I thought they were left for dead last night. And the next thing you know, they're not only tying the game, they got the lead. And, at that point, anything can happen, and we'll see. And the good thing is that, I think they're learning from this experience. So I think actually the overtime helped them. Even if they don't win the series this year, I think it's going to help them for down the line to be able to experience that.
I agree. And going up against Vegas, the contrast in styles is really interesting to watch because, as we said, Vegas tries to control the puck more, and the Mammoth have these rushes down the ice, and people like Dylan Gunther I wrote about today, and Logan Cooley and others, young players, young exciting players. Those guys are twins. PK.
Yeah,
I mean,
I know.
I mean, those they're kids.
You got underwear older
here they
than
are,
them.
professional. And not only is it, this is another thing that I think Utahns would connect with this team. You talk to these kids, and they're pro athletes. They know they're great athletes. I mean, I'm not going to downplay that at all. But they seem to be somewhat humble and grateful for what they're able to accomplish and what they're able to do. And I remember when I was in L.A., just speaking of old times, PK, when we both were down there working, I remember talking to various writers about which professional athletes seemed to be the most humble, the most grateful.
Hockey.
And I think hockey was a landslide winner. And I think, I tell you the truth, I think baseball ended a blast in that poll. But anyway.
I covered a lot of Kings games writing sidebars. And so, yeah, they're always the two things I learned is that the Canadian and American guys who, English was their first language, they were extremely easy to deal with, and they were all great golfers.
That hand-eye coordination does come into play.
And the way the seasons allows them to be able to really focus on golf during the golf season, yeah. And when they go home to their usually Canadian or upper Midwest, Northeast homes, and they play a ton of golf.
Did the man you played around a golf with one time, a Canadian, a fellow who happened to win the Masters one year, was he? I think he played hockey too, didn't he?
He did. Oh, absolutely. Yeah.
Yeah, Mike Weir.
We had him on a couple weeks back. He was getting ready to compete in the senior tournament, and he was going to actually He called that day, and we had him on. He was going to play later that afternoon. And I looked it up. One of his partners was Vijay Singh, and we were talking about how Rory doesn't want to talk much. Last year he didn't talk to DeChambeau. This year he didn't talk to Cameron Young, and that's just not who he is. And Mike says, yeah, well, it's a senior tour now. We're a little older, so I'll be talking to VJ, although I'm not sure what I'm going to talk about because he can't talk hockey.
So Rory doesn't like to talk in the middle of the round. It's kind of like you.
I'm not too sure, but I'm just unfriendly. But Rory's more in the concentrating mode.
Tell your audience the story when you played around with Mike Weir. I love that. So PK's teeing up with a former Masters champion. I don't know. Are Masters champions? Are they ever former? Maybe they're always a Masters champion. I don't know. But tell them. A little nervous there at start.
Oh, yeah. I got there early, and he was already on the driving range. I thought he's going to watch me. So I take out my 7-iron. I figure, man, I can hit a few balls with my 7-iron and not throw up, right? And I know he's watching me because I'm in the slot right next to him. And so he's my back is to him, and I know he's watching thinking, oh, my gosh, what am I gotten myself into? So I hit the 7. I just hit 7 irons, and even though it goes 120, you don't really know how far it goes in the range, so it looks like a golf shot. And he's thinking, oh yeah, okay. And he says, all right, yeah, you got something in the game. And then we go out on the first hole, and I triple it, and I'm dizzy, I'm nauseous, and I'm thinking, oh my gosh, man, I tripled this hole. I've embarrassed myself, hitting shanks, and then he looks at me, just take it easy. And then I went the other 17. I either parred or birdied, or not birdied. I wish I either parred or bogeyed. So I settled down. But man, it was a treat to play with him and his short game. And then one time I didn't know where we were going, and because there was a dog leg, and he gets up there first, and he goes and he hits over the dog leg. I wasn't sure, so I line up to where he just went, and he looks at me. He says, "What are you doing?" And I says, That's where I'm going, right? And he says, oh, no. I go that way. You go this way. Meaning you don't try to hit over through the dog leg. You just hit it straight and then worry about the second shot. You're not going to be able to hit it like I did. And he told me, no, I go that way. You go this way. And I said, yes, sir. And he gave me a couple tips along the way. Yeah. So it was a lot of fun.
It seems like I remember you saying, PK, check me if I'm wrong on this, but I thought he gave you 2 tips that I remember. Was one for you to freaking relax, and the second was to commit to the shot.
Oh, commit to the shot. He probably said that 15 times during the round. Yes, commit to the swing. Commit to the swing. He kept saying it because I would be tentative and start to play mind games with myself. And I think if he would have known me a little bit better, he would have started yelling at me to do it. And he was right. You got to, whatever shot you want to hit, you've got to be committed to the swing. So there we go. We're a little late to break. Well, I sure appreciate your time and read your stuff at SL Trib and see what the Mammoth come up with.
All right, PK. You think about that. What you want on that tombstone, man. I think your listeners will help you in that regard. All
right. Talk to you soon. Thanks, Gordon.
See you, man.
All right, that's Gordon Monson. All right, coming up next, get you caught up on what you missed. And, of course, it's Mammoth, Mammoth, and Mammoth. Stay with us, 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone.
This year, experience the NHL playoffs your way. Want to watch a single, do or die Game 7, a full week of heavy-hitting back-and-forth series? Then check out Sling's 1, 3, and 7-day passes. Watch the Chase for the Cup on ESPN and TNT, starting as low as $4.99. No long-term contracts or overpaying. Just live hockey at home or when you want it. Sling lets you do that. Visit sling.com to learn more.
For all of you, less motivated listeners, it's time for your 9 o'clock. Where the heck have you been headlines?
Where you at?
With DJ and PK on 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone.
Slacker Radio headlines. Call Trajan Wealth today. Your local trusted financial fiduciary. 1-855-TRAJAN1. That's 1-855-Trajan1. Or visit their website, TrajanWealth.com. All right, the big story of the day, obviously, is the Mammoth. What a puck game. Man, pucks were flying all over the place. That was about as good a game as you can have. Now, if your mood is determined by the final score, then I guess you would be disappointed. I understand that. That's what fans are about. For me, I was entertained from start to finish. Thought the Mammoth were going to get smoked, but then they come rallying back, take the lead. And as I talked to Mike Folta earlier today, when they took the lead, he was texting his friends back in the Midwest where he's from, saying, hey, I don't think this is going to be the final score. And I felt like Vegas was going to find a way. Somehow, I just felt like this thing is going OT, and then they get the goal at about the 79th minute with just a little over a minute to go, and they knot the series at 2-2. Tomorrow, I'm pretty glad. I think it's sweet that they're right back out on the ice with just one day off. Tomorrow at 8 o'clock, our time, they're down in Vegas, that we will be able to see what's going on. We'll have all the stuff at KSLSports.com. Channel 5 will have it. We will have you covered as the most comprehensive media outlet in the market for sure. And we're excited for that game to see what's going down. A lot of twists and turns, man. The emotional nature of that game was just absolutely incredible, right? Absolutely it was. It was fun. Fun, too. I suspect it'll be more of the same because all the games have been entertaining and been close. I see no reason to think otherwise. The experts predicted a long series. That's exactly what we got, a long series. All right, we got some other news. I think the big news is for the Texas Tech quarterback, Brennan Sorsby. He's going to go into, what would you call it, rehab or some type of therapy as far as gambling goes. That's serious. I've been around gamblers my whole life, man. Literally my whole life. It's still a big deal for many in my family. I kind of got burned out over it in my 20s. I've been exposed to it literally in single digits. I used to have, my parents both worked, and one of their friends, was like an uncle to me, even though he wasn't blood related. He'd pick me up, and we'd go into the city being New York, and he would do the off-track betting. Huge, huge horse racing dude, and I was into horse racing big time myself. And let's just say I have family members who, when they want to go to Vegas, get a lot of stuff comped. Rooms, meals, concert tickets, because they accumulate so many points from gambling, and that can get in your blood and can be very dangerous. Now, hopefully the best for that young man. How it affects the team, well, it looks like that he's going to have a hard time receiving eligibility here for this season, and this is it for him. He's a fifth-year senior. Said he bet on games when he's redshirting in Indiana to win, and then a lot of bets, live bets with the Cincinnati Reds. Obviously, he played for the Bearcats, and that would have been in the same community, and you can do all that stuff. That's the downside with all the accessibility to gambling here that is available now around the country, if not the world. And what does that mean for the team? Well, I think it opens up. You can go to KSL.com. I wrote about it. It opens up for opportunities. I think that with Sorsby in there, they would have been the heavy favorite to repeat. Now we'll see. Hammond looked good when he got his opportunity in the second half against Utah last year. But he's coming off an ACL, won't be there available at the start of the season. What does that mean for them? How will that play out? I think it makes the race more wide open, which is good news for BYU and Utah, because I think that both of those teams have an opportunity to be in contention. And we saw 2 years ago the surprise team was ASU. They picked them 16th, and so they end up finishing first. And so then we can't have the poll anymore. Take away our fun, why don't you? That's what they did. So they didn't have the poll. Houston was a surprise team last year. We'll see what happens. It'll probably be. And I think Arizona was too. Are they good enough? Are both those teams good enough to contend? Well, we shall see over the course of the 9 games. When we get to that point, it'll be a lot of fun. But for BYU and Utah, man, how about this? How about BYU versus Utah in the Dallas Cowboys Stadium on the first Friday in December? All in favor say aye. Aye.
Aye.
Yes.
I think everybody would.
Absolutely in this community. If you gave me that option, oh, for sure I would take that. That would be mammoth to play off the word of the day and the team of the day with the Utah Mammoth. The NBA, as expected, the Thunder dispatched the Suns easily 4-0. They're going to be tough to beat. The Nuggets, they've got injuries, Aaron Gordon, but the Timberwolves got more injuries with DiVincenzo and obviously Anthony Edwards. That sucks for them. Man, these injuries that have been happening in these playoffs, they bite. We go through the whole season. We want to see these dudes play, see these teams be at full strength. Whatever happens, happens from that standpoint. Big surprise is that Detroit won 60 games in the regular season. They're down 3-1 to the 7th seed Orlando. You kidding me? Orlando, 45 games. It's the same, actually not the 7, the 8th seed. The same record as the Suns. Suns get dispatched. And the East, we're counting on the Pistons. All that leads to me to believe is that it's who are the Celtics going to play in the finals? Anybody else think anybody different? Maybe the Knicks, the Cavs? We shall see. Knicks and Hawks are tied 2-2. They'll play tonight. The other series, Celtics and Boston, or Celtics and Philadelphia, and the Blazers and Spurs. You got the Celtics leading 3-1 and the Spurs leading 3-1. I suspect they'll close it out. Both those teams will close out those series. As far as that goes. Early entrance in the NBA. Kennard Davis put his name in. Maybe that's just to try out to get a feel. A.J. DeMonsa, of course, is going to go very high, if not number 1. Number 1 to the Jazz. Got to believe it, got to think it to believe it, and believe it to think it, whatever those things are. We'll see what happens there. And baseball, the Dodgers won. The big news is Mason Miller gave up a run, man. He'd been unhittable so far. Cubs scored a couple of runs. I don't know if you saw it. It was a little swinging bunt that rolled down the third base line. And Machado waiting. And I think it was also Mason Miller. The pitcher was over there. And it looked like it was on the left side of the line, but they called it fair. Didn't really make sense to me. But nevertheless, that's what they did. Utah State, yeah, going to retire the number of Bobby Wagner, the standout Hall of Fame linebacker. Super Bowl winning, Pro Bowl dude, tackle leading, all that stuff. He's got all the credentials. And so we'll see what the schedule comes out and how the bye weeks work. And if he continues to play, either be this year or next year, they'll do it. And that's well-deserved. We said that earlier. I'm not a Utah State historian. Is he the second best defensive player behind Merlin Olsen? All you Utah State football historians, let us know. Is that the way it would be? Would you rank them 1, 2? I don't go back. I can't name some of the great ones as far as that goes, but certainly he is a great player there and gets his opportunity to get that number retired. And he's been a loyal alumnus to Utah State's football program. And they look like they'll have an opportunity to compete this year. We'll see what's going down. NCAA President Charlie Baker, pretty optimistic. Quote, pretty optimistic that this age-based eligibility, 5 years to play 5, starting at, 19, they want to say. And I think they'll accommodate the admissions for all the Latter-day Saint folks who might be worried about that. and all the schools, but obviously BYU, you can have that exception. I think it seems like they made a bunch of exceptions for BYU, or not for BYU, but for Latter-day Saint kids, obviously BYU being prominent, and I think they will continue to do that. All right, get some feedback, get you set for Scotty G and the coach. Stay with us, 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone.
And it's all over almost here.
Don't go nowhere.
And now, enough of us. It's time to hear from you. From all your texts, tweets, and posts. This is the best feedback of the day.
Ooh, I was there. It's the best game of my life.
With DJ and PK on 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone.
Next Gen Motors joins Scotty and the coach Friday from 11 to 2 at Next Gen Motors grand opening at their new location in Linden. That's 590 North State Street, 590 North State Street, Next Gen Motors. All right, got a little breaking news. The Philadelphia Phillies have fired their manager, Thompson, and replaced him with Don Mattingly. The Phillies are off to their worst start in over 20 years. They suck, and so now we've had two managers. We didn't even get out of April, and two managers are gonzo. Well, I guess that's the way it goes, huh? These guys are hired to be fired, as they say. It's unusual if you're not fired, man. I talked about, hey, what about the hockey, man? If you didn't enjoy that game, you don't enjoy the sport, right? Put that on Facebook. So cool to see it on TV and then realize it's our team in our city. Great game. Should have won that one. Yeah. I never felt like they were in major control. I thought they were in big-time trouble down 0-3. And then they come back, not only tie it, but take the lead. But even at that, there was too much time left. And you're dealing with a veteran club with veteran players who are really good for the Las Vegas Golden Knights. And I always thought that they would find a way to tie the game. But once you get in overtime, that really is who's going to make it? Who's going to make it happen? Not necessarily flip a coin, but I didn't think that the Mammoth were long shots to win, but I never felt comfortable that they were going to win once it got into OT. I've covered OT hockey in the NHL going way back from when I lived in Los Angeles a long time ago. So I know crazy things can happen. Things can be unpredictable, and the way they race up and down. I felt like they had a good chance. Looking at their speed, thinking, okay, they can get up and down that ice. Maybe a puck comes loose or something, or who knows? It smacks off a pipe, off the back of the goaltender, which we've seen, a skate here and there. But nevertheless, that did not happen, and they lost. But it's not the end of the world, man. 2-2. Obviously, pivotal game coming up tomorrow night. Super excited for that. 8 o'clock, we will be watching that. Everybody will be talking about it the rest of the day tomorrow. And you can read about it that we have on our websites, KSLSports.com, Channel 5, all that stuff. Exciting time for the Mammoths. See what they can do. Maybe they can find a way to win 2 more games. All right, find a way to turn it over to our guys, Scotty G and the coach, Tim Lacombe. They're up next. Stay with us, 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone.
If the world were like a Sleep Number mattress, everything would adapt for your comfort. Because as your life changes and your body changes, Sleep Number mattresses adapt and shift to give you personalized comfort night after night. And now everything's on sale during our Memorial Day event. Save up to $1,200 on mattresses for a limited time. To experience a whole new world of comfort, visit a Sleep Number store or go to sleepnumber.com. Sleep Number, to a good night's sleep.
This year, experience the NHL playoffs your way. Want to watch a single, do or die Game 7, a full week of heavy-hitting back-and-forth series? Then check out Sling's 1, 3, and 7-day passes. Watch the chase for the cup on ESPN and TNT, starting as low as $4.99. No long-term contracts or overpaying. Just live hockey at home or when you want it. Sling lets you do that. Visit sling.com to learn more.